You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, God'll cut you down.
What are you drinking?
Coconut water.
Come on, man. You got to come down here to Brazil. I'll take you down to the park on a nice hot Saturday, and they'll bust open a cold coconut and just stick a straw in it. You have to live.
That sounds like a good time, man. That sounds like a good time. It's cool that you actually get to do jiu-jitsu back over there as well. That's awesome stuff. I did grappling and MMA for about 5 years, but I mean it's different when you do it over there as over here. I mean I was with American Top Team here, but I'm sure over there, completely different ball game. Different ball game.
If we do a jiu-jitsu nerd for anybody listening, because listen, anybody who knows me knows I'll talk about this all day. There are small differences in the game. Like here, a lot of them are still very heavy fundamentals, top-heavy game. I'll tell you some of the differences, though. Yeah. If I get stuck on bottom, I play a real dirty half guard based around some of the things that Jeff Glover taught me as just a casual student at Cobra Kai Jiu-Jitsu, based on some of the things that Eddie Bravo came in, did a couple seminars on. I own kind of a dirty half guard. Down here, people are not playing half guard.
That's what I know too. You guys over there tend to be more top heavy, as in me. I thought I'd be able to take advantage with my strength and everything that I'm on. But honestly, half the stuff I do is pretty much Eddie Bravo's like my rubber game as well, my rubber guard, as in being able to be at the bottom and just doing sweeps and stuff like that just to win. As when you get into, this is what I've noticed. The more advanced you are, the harder it is to submit guys. So from my point of view, you could literally just win by points, and I'd rather do it that way, being at the bottom, because when you're sweeping somebody, when you catch them on an ankle pick, whatever it is, you get to win. As in trying to submit somebody, it's practically impossible in a higher level. So,
at high level, yes, but I never even learned the point system. Every time I go into the gym, from even when I was young, I went to Japan and trained jiu-jitsu while I was working out there. Yeah. I never point system. I had guys ask me after rolling with somebody who's like a black belt, and they'd say, "What in the hell were you thinking?" I was like, "I was trying to submit him. I was trying to choke him. That's the whole point. I didn't try to learn this beautiful sport to a patty cake. If I lose, I lose. But the goal is to get my arm around your neck. I want to hyperextend. Yeah. You didn't want it, and if it's me, it's me. I'm okay. Sometimes you're gonna hammer the nail.
That's a good way of putting it. And you have to evolve with the game as well. It's like, it took me a long time to figure out that I was burning my arms out, I was burning my legs out just to try to get the submission. And then I started winning again because I played exactly that, the dirty game of just winning points, like literally just butt scooting so where I could get the guy. You know how it is, man. You know how it is. I fell for it. I definitely fell for it. So
did you take any MMA fights?
I did 3 amateur ones. Lost all 3 of them. Got my face fucking handed, face busted in. That's all. You know what? I'm gonna go back to bodybuilding. It's not for me.
Well, I work in financial business doing mutual funds, cash bearing insurance, and things like that in Vegas. And I remember one day, and your video went out again, but I remember one day I came into the office and I had a shiner. I had a black eye, and my managing partner said, "We can't have someone who deals with such high level clients as you coming into the." Even if I know you're not a street fighter, he said that's just not okay. Jiu-jitsu, fine.
Yeah, I understand. But the whole image thing definitely plays a role in that type of industry. But yeah, at the same time, it's fun. I feel like as guys, even as men in modern age, we have to go through those adversities. Like, I love challenging myself. Even when I go on vacation, I can't take it. It's like I want to destroy my body. I want to go back to the gym again. I want to be challenged and not just, get soft the entire time. Like my last trip when I went to Germany and Paris, the most I could take was 4 days. After that, I was going insane. And there's no gym in Paris, at least not the ones that that I find that we can use for our goals. So.
Well, that's something interesting because I wrote an article called "Men Seek Discomfort." It was about a young man. A lot of young men come to me for different types of advice, and one of them I said is, don't let yourself get too comfortable. But wait, before we go too far down the rabbit hole, because I know who you are, and some of the people that are watching it on your channel know who you are.
Yeah.
Tell everybody, you are, what you do, what makes you awesome, and then I really want to get into why we're actually, having this conversation.
Yeah. Well, simply, my channel is called Formula Secrets. My name is Kai, and what I do is I teach guys how to use anabolic steroids. That pretty much comes down to that. Oh, and where did that stem from? From my background in the gym, where I see guys taking supplements, right, left and right, from these bodybuilders who's promoting this stuff, to where they would show them how to use these supplements, but yet not teach them exactly what they're using, which is anabolic gear. And for me, when I was engulfed in there and I was sponsored as well and I was competing, I was doing the exact same thing. I was peddling these powders while I'm watching these guys, getting frustrated. They're not getting any top of gains or anything like that. And then, towards the end of that competition, I was thinking, you know what? It just feels wrong. It just feels wrong to the point to where nobody's teaching this stuff in the proper way. They're showing off their gains. They're showing off what they could do. They're peddling these fake powders, but yet nobody is showing them exactly how to look like them by using gear. And I was like, it's about time somebody actually teaches them as well. Now, there's some guys out there on the YouTube channels who are doing the exact same thing, but it's not the truth that we're looking for. It's not relatable. It's either no information at all or to the extreme side of bodybuilding. Not everybody's trying to take synthol. Not everybody's trying to take insulin.
Yeah.
Like, where's the beginner guys? Where's the guys who just want to take testosterone, or the guys who don't want to pay TRT prices from their doctors or their health insurance, and they just want to be able to afford it as well? There was like a huge
you
gap.
just said, though, let me go off to the side. You just said something interesting. When I was 37, and by the way, I'm proud to tell people, and actually I've had to take out my ID to show people, I just turned 41 last week, right? But when I was 37,
Dude,
I
you
remember
look young, by the way. I thought you were like, I'm not even trying to fluff you up. You look like in your late 20s.
Really? Well,
yeah,
here's the thing. I was 37 years old. I came back from jiu-jitsu one night, and I noticed I was more and more tired. I go to the doctor. I get a checkup every 6 months. Mm-hmm. The doctor said, no, you're normal, except, your testosterone level is going down, but that's normal. He actually complimented me. He said, for most, it happens at 30, but because you do jiu-jitsu, no alcohol, no drugs, no smoking, it was 37. So I immediately said, this is not okay. Mm-hmm. I did a whole research, got a testosterone replacement therapy. And I had never taken quote unquote steroids before. So I'm like, I'm sweating for like a month deciding if I really want to do this. And I went on it and I decided, now I understand. I wrote an article about it that I showed you. I get emails from men all over the world asking about it. No one wants to leave it in the comments, but all these guys, and I'll tell you who feels it the most. It's the guys who are actually using their bodies. The average guy is living on the couch playing video games. I love video games, which is why I don't have any in my house, right?
It's addicting. It's absolutely addicting.
So what ends up happening? They don't feel it when they get old. But if you're one of those guys like us who's used to out there mixing it up and getting punched in the head by your friends and, going, we feel it fast. Mm-hmm. So what ended up, my doctor gave me a prescription. And the most shocking thing happened when I wrote my article. I started getting people just saying, hey, I've been curious about that. I haven't had a single person look at me sideways. I say that to say this. When you talked about the expensive TRT prices, I lived in Las Vegas before I left for a couple of years before here. Yeah. It was interesting when I talked to my friends who are still in the States and the American healthcare system, which we can get into later. It is so expensive for something that costs nothing to make, that was synthesized in like 1917. Yeah. I know guys, doctors that are making a killing in that game.
Oh, absolutely. Because I'm already getting guys who they just recently got out chemotherapy. They literally had to fight off cancer, just got off chemotherapy. And these doctors, no, they haven't had a job. It's impossible to hold a job when you're going through chemotherapy, right? And then the moment they're finally clear of cancer, hey, by the way, you need $800 for a bottle of testosterone. You need $500 additional for a bottle of Deca. Where are these guys going to get it? I literally had 2 guys already from the beginning of the program who is cancer-free and needed these treatments, but they couldn't afford it. So where did they go? They literally begged me for it, asked me if they could somehow just get into the program and, be a participant in it, because they needed to live. They were like 110 pounds at 5'11", 5'10". So it's insane how we'll get into that later, but the health industry over here is literally, they just want you to live enough so they could suck you more out of the financial gains that they're looking for as well. It's crazy, especially exactly what you said. These things are synthetic. They are not expensive to make, but they're the doorkeepers, they're the gate holders, and they would just love to watch you dwindle down or pay.
Let's go into the program, and I'll tell you why I contacted you and said, hey, I want to talk to you. I love a good sale. I worked in the financial business, so I know the difference between having a quality product and being able to relate it to people. Yeah. You came out of the window with an approach I had never seen before, and I really thought it was unique. You learned how to make money off something that people have to have a license to sell, blah, 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 by not approaching it as saying, I'm going to sell you something illegal. Mm-hmm. You actually did something that's very rare in the industry. You said, I'll teach you how to make it yourself with your own supplies and your own, which I think there's a level of selfishness that so many people have when they know that they can be the source and make millions that way. But you just said, hey, why don't I just teach you how to do it yourself? So you're actually able to put a product out there. And for anybody listening, he hasn't given me anything for free to say this. Out there and said, just pay me to teach you, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. You can do it yourself.
Exactly. That's always taken back. That's always been my philosophy ever since I was teaching, personal training, anything like that. I want to be able to teach you well enough to where you could go off on your own. I don't want to be, the gatekeeper of what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, one of the things that really tied into it is I used to teach high school and consulted for universities and colleges for music performance. And that's where I was able to get my background in teaching and building a curriculum and tying it into this topic. Now,
by the way, what instrument?
What instrument? I did percussion, University of Miami. So
okay.
yeah. So that was pretty much my background. What, say it again?
I have no rhythm, so hey.
So yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I saw. I mean, like, why don't we just teach these guys how to do it so they're never going to be locked and chained to the health insurance, to the pre-made labs, to these guys who just literally want to scam them on top of that. So when you're doing it on your own, when you're brewing everything on your own, you're not going to underdose yourself. You're not going to screw yourself over. You're going to make sure all these oils are clean and ready for you to
tell them what underdosing is. You're using words that you and I know, but tell them what underdosing is.
The best way I could put it is one of my videos of my analogy. It's like you expecting to go to the grocery store, right? And you're craving for ice cream and you're looking for cookie dough ice cream. But then when you go to these underground labs, you're getting there thinking you're going to get your cookie dough ice cream. Guess what? You're not getting the cookie dough in the ice cream. You're just getting your plain vanilla. So the best way I could put it as well is you're going in there looking for a certain product, but they're not going to give you the exact product because it's going to be a little bit too costly for them. They just want to give you something in replicate of that so they could gain more money and have you thinking that's exactly that. The more detail I can get into it, it's like this. You're going in there, right, for the more initiated guys, right? A bottle of testosterone, the usual dosage of that is about 250 milligrams per cc. What underdosing is, they make you think that that's exactly that number, but they're only going to give you about 100. So you'll feel something out of it, but yet they're not going to give you the full amount because to them, they want to make money off of you. Now, the best way to go around that is just by home brewing it, making your own ice cream, making your own cookie dough, putting it in there, blend it, and that's all you got. There's no way you can underdose yourself.
Let me be the contrarian here. I have some interesting questions that...
Yeah.
How do you... People buy something called raws, which are the base material you make it out of, but yes. Don't you have to test your raw materials that you're making it with for purity? How do you make sure that what you're getting is actually, for example, if we know you're making your own cookie dough ice cream, I can't believe I'm using this analogy.
That's how much you love food. That's how much you love food. So the best way to do that is not only that we take sources who provide these lab testings, we test it ourselves as well. Now, we can't test it as much as those labs can, but we test it at least once every 6 months. With them, we ask for once every month or every new batch to prove that not only that it's at least 99% or higher, it's just that they're actually testing each batch. Now, somebody could have a pure batch of 100%, right, or 99%, but if it's sitting in the shelf life for the past 5 years, we're not going to take those sources to, provide to those people. We want to make sure that these powders, these sources are actually on time, on current with the lab testing as well, to make sure to give them that peace of mind.
Okay, well, I got another curveball for you.
Let's do it.
How you're going to, for example, during the chemical process, I'm not a chemistry major, right? I'm a businessman.
Of course.
From the independent research I did before our conversation, there are delicate pH levels that have to be maintained, delicate temperatures have to be maintained. It's more complicated than me just, slinging a shepherd's pie in the oven with a little bit of lamb. If I put in lamb or too little lamb, well.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
But it's not like an oven. You can't just put it on 400 and know it's kind of close when I'm baking my shepherd's pie. Because I'm gonna capture your ice cream with my shepherd's pie.
Hey, I do love my shepherd's pie. What do you call it? The best way I could put it is exactly the whole baking thing. Now, when you tell somebody to say make your shepherd's pie, right, or make a beef Wellington, it's hard if there were no directions at all, or if the directions were just written out. Now, we provide a video series to where it literally shows them to where you don't need to be a chemist, you don't need a hazmat suit or a research facility lab, or to even know the proper temperatures. It is literally just taking a person and making it as comprehensible as possible. You put it over here, you open this product here, you put these products into the beaker, you heat it up here. It's to the point to where it's broken down to the point to where you don't need to know any of these things. Now, for myself, I don't know how Tylenol works. Do I care to know how it works? No, I just know that it will fix my headache. So I'm just gonna go there and buy it and take it. So that's what I provide these guys.
You said, okay, so you don't know how Tylenol works. Continue.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. All I care about is it will fix my headache. Same thing with these guys. We make it to the point to where all they have to do is follow a series of video series, not just instructions, video series to where this is how you mix it, this is where you put the products, this is how you filter it cleanly, to where they don't need a hazmat suit, they don't need the pH balancer, the proper temperatures. We tell them exactly how to do it, so that's a couple of easy steps so they can do it on their own. So
if we're going to continue these ridiculous analogies, it's like making beef Wellington with one of the home delivery services where they deliver a case of everything you need to make that night's dinner, and you basically assemble it.
Exactly. It's like IKEA. I love these analogies. We're just gonna keep going.
There's furniture.
It's like IKEA, right? You don't care how they actually make these tables and desks or dressers. All you care about is, I want it to look like that. How do I make it look like that when it's all disassembled? Here are the instructions. Now, what we do a little bit better than IKEA is we actually came with a video series that come with the instructions. So all you have to do is literally follow it step by step into making your table or dresser. So
okay. So I guess we're just gonna. In any case, that's I'm a skeptic by nature. So whenever someone presents something to me, I'm one of those people that a lot of my friends say, hey, a lot of your life is awesome, and you travel the world and you do this and that. And they say, well, what's gone in your favor? What are some of the advantages you have? Good things don't happen to me. And as a matter of fact, if something seems simple, I am so skeptical because I'm used to bleeding for every piece of knowledge.
Of course.
To bleeding for it, because at my age, I didn't grow up with the internet. So everything that I understand about human behavior, about business, these are books I read, and then YouTube came along, and I've got younger cousins that are able to watch a half-an-hour video on a book that it took me 3 weeks to read when I was 17, and they get all the same information. It's like, how dare you?
It's exactly. I mean, that's the way of our generation, right? Like you and I, for example, we didn't grow up with phones and laptops. Now these kids are literally learning faster and faster with their own tablets and their own iPads, stuff like that. Now, the reason why, though, because I understand you being skeptic, or anybody being skeptic, but I feel like I am the yin of the yang in the entire fitness industry, to where 90% of it is complete garbage, right? It's just lies after lies after lies. Now, I can understand why somebody's being skeptic like that, because you've been fed garbage your entire life. That's the reason why I came in here to provide all this information here. I want to be able to be the only light within this entire fitness industry. You will never gonna see me peddling any type of protein shakes or pre-workouts. So I'm gonna go to provide the truth behind all that.
Well, the truth is, do you go over, and this is something, you and I both watch MMA, you and I both like fights. How many fighters have been busted for steroids, but afterwards they found out, no, they weren't dirty. Their supplements were created in a place where they didn't get everything clean.
That's true.
That happens a lot with, I lived in China for 2 years and I love China, but I also know that they do things on a level of scale and bulk that is unimaginable to an American.
Like purposely tainting their own protein shakes so guys could actually get real fast gains as well, like purposely putting steroids with.
People don't know that though.
Yeah.
People don't know. Yeah, because what you're saying is something that they would give you this protein shake or this new product. When I was a young man, I had cousins that were serious in bodybuilding and lifting weights, and they used a product called Ultimate Orange. Do you remember that?
I cannot recall. No, I can't recall.
Ultimate Orange was this orange flavored drink that tasted like you were drinking electricity. It had people in there doing massive sets. Your body temperature went up. You leaned out. Of course, they found out it has everything that's illegal in supplements. But by the time people found that out, they'd already sold millions.
Oh, of course, of course.
In there and they say, wow, I'm taking this new supplement, but then they get popped for being dirty. How do you address the issue of cleanliness with not just your suppliers, but also the people who learn from you?
Oh, the main one is, again, the lab testings. At the same time, once we finally have them in the program, we can vouch for these certain companies. Like, we were not going to give them any type of source if we cannot, you know, qualify these guys, to vouch these guys, to vet these guys, to make sure that if you are going to be part of the program, the source, I mean, we are going to need these lab testings, and we can't just do that either. Now, if somebody that's new within the lab testing with us, that's where we will cough up the money to actually get a third-party lab as well to test their product. We can't just take their word for it, especially if they're new. Now, if they've been with us for a good while now, and they have provided us with new lab testing every single batch or every 3 months, then we are able to put them within the program. If anybody else, because we've already had, which I, you know, want to say thank you, by the way, for your proper proposal of businesses, because these guys, these sources have given us business proposals before saying we want to be part of the program. We could already tell who's going to be professional or not. Like, take you, for example. I commend you for doing that, because we have business proposals on a daily basis. But the way you had yours laid out, amazing. You were very direct. You were very professional. This is exactly what I want to do. Are you interested? With some of these guys, you could already tell the way they speak, the way they written out their proposals. It's just, I can't take you seriously when you're not going to be direct with me, especially when how busy we are, and you see how busy we are. So the reason why we even came on to you, and this guy is awesome, we checked you out, you know, we qualified you as well because of that, and that's how we approach the sources as well. Same exact thing. So.
And by the way, I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if you really want to lose him to somebody else, but we'll call him the techno wizard. Your assistant, the person who backs up your company, he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
You should put HR file because keep on top of everything, making sure that, you know, we get together. I would say have your people talk to my people, but I am my people. Like, I don't have people yet. I'm not right there. I'm still at that position in life where most of the businesses that I run, I can run alone. But your people, meaning your techno wizard, great guy.
Yeah, we have a couple of tags, but he's our man. His name is Tyler, and he's pretty much, I'm the image. He's the guy that, you know, arranges all the marketing, the research, the vetting, the qualifying of the source as well, scheduling. Like, we have a meeting, like today was our meeting of the content videos that we want to give out to people. Like, some comments are coming out now because we're getting to the point to where we're getting to the intermediate advanced stuff with gear. A lot of guys, or at least a small handful of guys, advanced guys, how come we're not talking about the more advanced levels? Now, we are going to get there eventually, but I'm looking at the entire thing as a whole. I'm not going to start teaching advanced stuff yet. I'm going to start from the beginning to where everybody knows exactly what we're talking about before we get there. And Tyler is the mastermind of all this. He's like, okay, we're going to talk about that, but tell them it's going to be coming out in about 3 months, because we don't just want to let guys who are new, you know, start teaching them really, really harsh, dangerous stuff if they don't even know how to open a syringe yet. So,
well, you know, it's interesting when you said that. My brain just had this. When you said the mastermind, I had this image of, remember Master Blaster from Mad Max?
Yeah, I do. I do.
With a computer sitting on your shoulders. Going
exactly. It's like, dude, just give me the script, give me the line. I'll stand there with a smile, and he'll tell me exactly what to do. It's a good. It's a good.
Your own handheld, right? You have your own rig.
Yeah, I do. I mean, because
on that, what are you running? What's your gear? What is the? Let me rephrase that. What is the equipment you're using for recording?
Well, we have this Rode boom mic that's sitting on top right here. We just invested into a new Canon M50 as well. As before, I was just using my phone the first couple of videos, but because of how quickly our YouTube channel was growing and we were able to monetize that as well, we're able to give back more towards the community. Because, I mean, did we really need a $1,000 rig with a $200 mic on top of it? No, but since these guys are, you know, thirsty for knowledge, they want more. I'm thinking, let's take this and give them even more visually as well. Like I've said before, there are plenty of guys out there, right, who is into teaching gear, okay? But what do you normally see?
Wait. Before we go there,
yeah.
I need to pause. I want to make a teachable moment to someone who I'm a mentor for. Remember what you just said, and you know who you are because you're going to get a copy of this video. He said when the money came in, he reinvested in his business and his clients. I have a client, mentor. I do professional mentoring. He came to me. He said, wow, I just had some things happen in my business. I made some money I didn't plan on. Look at what I'm going to do. I said, no, you're not. You're going to take 50% of it, and you're going to buy for all your clients. You're going to send them letters, and you're going to throw it back into the business. And he was shocked. And I said, go do it. Now he's reaping the benefits, but he hesitated. So continue. You said most guys teaching.
Yeah. Anyways, the reason why we're getting into this is exactly that. We want to give back to the community. They get T-shirts. They get privileges into our group meetings as well. We have this new rig now to give them a little bit more visually. And the reason why we invested in that, and we could just kept going with my phone, is this is what I saw within the fitness industry as well, with majority of guys. And it's not even about gear, just teaching about supplements, teaching about workout programs, their diet programs. Where are they usually? In their basement, being socially inept, being socially awkward. Now, we're not here doing all this fitness stuff to be at home, right? The whole point of my entire message is not just about gear either. I want these guys to be able to have their fitness pillar erected and created to where they don't have to worry about that anymore, so they can take and focus more of their time into their academics, their career, their jobs, their social circle. And that's the reason why every single one of my videos and content is normally outside, because I'm trying to pull these guys outside the basement and apply what they have as a brand, as a visual, and be more social. Because most of these guys that we see that are teaching fitness stuff, they're just that. They're inside some dungeon to where it just looks awkward. I want these guys to be as social.
Do you know that? And that's their name. They call it the dungeon.
The Iron Dungeon, yeah.
That's like the most stereotypical name. And more power to them. But what you said is right. What are you doing outside of lifting? Because people get shocked. My workouts are generally between 60 and 90 minutes. I don't know if you ever heard of the Golden Six. It's an old school. It's I'll tell you my whole routine in 30 seconds. 4 sets of 10 leg extensions.
Beautiful.
4 sets of 10 incline dumbbell presses. 4 sets of 10 shoulder presses. 4 sets of 10 rows. 4 sets of 10 tricep extensions. 4 sets of 10 curls. And then I finish it off. Maybe I'll do one day I might do calf raises. The other day I might do shrugs. And that's it. And I do heavy sets, 4 sets of 10. And people are, you're not in the gym all the time? No. I'm not doing ridiculous things on the street, things I can't talk about on a YouTube channel.
Exactly, because that's what life is about, right? Not to be a slave at the gym, not to go to the gym 6 out of 7 days a week and then go outside the gym, talk nothing about the gym, stay within the gym. I mean, life is so much bigger than that. I want them to be able to reap the rewards from the gym and then apply it to their social life. Hey, check out what I've accomplished. Check out my abs. Check out how good and healthy I am, so I can spend more time.
Never had abs, so that's a fun fantasy for me. But I got, what is it? Ectomorphic body. My body is kind of like a fire hydrant crossed with a rhinoceros.
Dude, as long as you're powerful, you're able to have a good ground game. The physique that you have would be perfect for that.
Well, I do want to address something that you said. One thing that I agree with, and one thing that I really want to get into. You said something interesting in one of your videos, and maybe you can help me remember.
Yeah.
You actually said there are going to be a lot of guys who get in shape for the first time. They have that thing in their life where they realize, you know what, my life would be better if I wasn't ultra skinny or ultra fat. Mm-hmm. They 6 months, they take that year and suddenly find out, yes, women treat me differently. Yep. And you put a little bit of social responsibility in there. And you said basically, don't be a dirtbag now that you got girls knocking on your door and returning your calls. Mm-hmm. I see that. Because here I grew up the fat nerd when I was a kid.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't recognize me now because when I was 19, 20, I went off to college. I discovered the gym. I had nothing else for besides my books. But once I lost fat and realized, hey, this wide body is good for something, I had that realization. I can actually go farther by not being a dirtbag and being the guy with the giant arms that girls want to touch.
Mm-hmm. That's the point I was taking too. Is the main thing is this, all right? I'm going to be creating these guys to a bigger, more awesome version of themselves. The last thing is I would want is My program associated with the typical, as you say, dirtbag at the gym, who refuses to help people, who is the guy who's just socially awkward, who's mean to everybody. And then when it comes to women, they'll just go through them like they are nothing. I'm trying to have them expand their social circle to where they are now a member in society who you want to be around with, who is full of value, who's full of love, and who's going to be liked wherever they go. And not just some guy who's going to be mean to everybody. That typical, again, dirtbag at the gym who's telling you you're doing it wrong, might as well just go home, and just purposely intimidate you so that you won't be there next to them. I'm trying to create these guys where they're going to get jacked. They're going to get shredded. The last thing I want is for them to be that guy. I want them to be giving back to society. I want them to be full of value.
I had an 18, 19-year-old kid, I guess I can call him now that I'm over 40.
Yeah.
I my last set of tricep extensions and I'm shaking, but I'm going to get this out. And I'm just in my head. I'm like, I'm doing it for the chicken. I'm doing it for all the broccoli I ate. He comes up to me to try to give me advice on how my form should be. And I just looked at him. And one of the guys that's one of the gym, monitors, he just walked over and said, hey, he's okay. He comes, and I'm like, I've never seen you before.
Yeah.
I've never seen you. You're giving me advice I didn't ask you for. I don't want to look like you.
Exactly.
The gym monitor guy, he comes on. It's okay. It's okay. You know what I do is I put on my hoodie, right? I put on my hoodie not to hide from people, but so that I'm not looking at anything else.
Yeah.
When I put my hoodie up, not because I'm cool or because I'm hot, because I wear it in the summer. I put on my hoodie so that it's like a racehorse when they put the blinders on. All I want
nothing but focus. Nothing but focus.
Exactly, and it was a. Now you did say some things that I want to delve into, and I want to really open up some of your ideas on how early people should delve into the world of supplements. Now, granted, I was way past middle age when I started my testosterone replacement therapy, but how do you feel about people in their 20s still getting into enhancement?
Now, okay. It's I know this is a touchy subject, right? Especially when it comes to this. Yeah, it's a very touchy subject. Here's the thing, though, right? When you talk about steroids, right? When you talk about steroids, everybody who's a veteran is always thinking, don't do it till your late 20s, early 30s. But yet, look at Division I football in college. Look at even CrossFit or even swimming or baseball, right? Why do those guys get a pass when they're a senior in high school at 18 years old and they come out to be amazing stars when they've taken anabolic gear at 18 years old, but yet as a normal guy who's not playing any sports and you just want to do it to look good, you can't take it till you're 40. You can't take it till you've hit your natural limit. So why is it these guys who are playing Division I football, basketball, baseball, or even soccer, they're allowed to take anabolic steroids when they're 18 to get signed with a college, but yet a regular guy in his 20s, even as early as 21, 22, they're not allowed to take that, but yet those guys get a pass. So my thing is this, am I advocating kids to take anabolic gear at such a young age, at 15, 16, 17? Absolutely not. But because there's proven evidence now that you could actually do it in a healthy way the moment you are 18, then absolutely. Because what is the difference between those guys who are playing college ball, right? Doesn't matter what sport it is, either swimming, track, whatever it is, they're able to do it at 18 and they're good and healthy. But yet, when you're 25 and you just want to do it for looks, no, you can't do it until you hit your natural limit. You can't do it until you're old. You can't do it until you have wrinkly skin. Now, I know for a fact that this is just theory crafting, but I look at it as this. The guys who are saying that, the older guys saying don't do it until you've hit your natural limit or you're at least in your late 30s is the fact that they didn't do it until their late age. So they want to be able to, keep their status. They don't want young guys to be looking better than them. Because my theory when it comes to society, and I've always said this repetitively as well, people want to see you do well. They just don't want to see you do better than them. And that's pretty much where that hate
That's a very bold statement, and I completely agree with you. But when we're dealing with, I don't believe either one of us has the absolute answer. And you're right. I can only give you the answer of someone who didn't do any of these things until he was like 37. And even then, on my schoolboy, good kid, 37 years old, I followed the doctor's protocol, taking a little bit every week, and I saw not quite unquote gains, but it definitely helped me to get back to where I needed to be. But it was one of those, there's a young man in my gym who was talking to me, and side note, when I came to Brazil, jiu-jitsu gym I went to, I called the coach aside and I said, I do want to be completely honest about this. I'm a little older. That's not the issue, but I do take supplements and I take this. And I don't know if that's considered, how that's going to be looked at. And he paused for a minute and looked at me. Then he called someone else over who spoke much better English and they translated. They both looked at me. And now here's
not the Portuguese, not the Portuguese. Dude, first of all, I've been around different languages, right? I'm in a place where there's a lot to learn. Out of all the languages, good Lord, that is so hard to learn. That is so hard to learn.
Portuguese, I'm still learning, but here's where it gets funny. They looked at me and they were like, everybody here is. I came down to Brazil with this naivety about, my jiu-jitsu and my weightlifting. I came down here, and when I got my prescription, the doctor told me you can get this from the pharmacy, or if this is, because it was only like these big vials, he said, or go to your gym and ask one of your friends, because the supplement industry here is underground, but it's so regulated that you can, and it's like Tupperware. There are a couple major manufacturers and all the guys, and I asked the guys at my gym, and they're like, yeah, and I mean, these are guys that are 21, 22, major world champions, and it's like, if you're going to be a professional jiu-jitsu player out here, and you're not, so you have these guys that are these ruthless competitors doing very, very well. And, a year of just doing a low level of consistent supplementing with just testosterone, you see change because, again, here's why it's illegal in so many sports. It's not that you become some musclehead. It's that you can train more. You can do 2-hour classes in the morning. Go to the office, take an hour lunch, and then do some cardio. And then do the evening class and wake up tomorrow and you're like, oh, you're learning twice as much as the next guy. So you get these 25-year-old black belts that are going out there and crucifying people. But that's why so many make this towards the Brazilians, because if you're coming out of Brazil, they know at some point, the
way I can relate to that is even in the States here, I'm already training a handful Division I. I'll keep it anonymous about won't say their sports. Division I, pretty much all over the place, right? Baseball, basketball, football, and stuff like that. And they're literally asking me, hey, my coach tells me to take this, this, and this to be able to keep my position, to be able to keep my spot. You're telling me some 18-year-old kid can be 285 pounds, defensive linebacker, natural? We as humans do not evolve that quickly. And then this kid is asking me, hey, my coach is taking me this, but I can't afford that. Is there any way and these are one of my best friends playing Division I football, 19-year-old kid. In order for him to keep his spot, he has to be taking the same exact thing as the other guys. So not only that this is common in the sport, it's actually pushed upon these kids to be able to just not stay on the team, but to actually be able to compete with the other guys as well. So when it comes to the age thing, going back to that, it not only that it's necessary, but it's for them to continue on to follow their dream. Now, this is the other part that I really dislike about the fitness industry is that, you're telling people to follow their dreams and doing that, but yet you're not even going to tell them the reality of following your dreams. As in, the moment you hit 18 and you're looking to become scholared, at the same time get sponsors by a college to be able to play with them, you gotta take anabolic steroids, and nobody's going to say that out loud. Not one person, not one college. So that's the reason why I'm trying to shine the light on that. I have
friends who are everything from like amateur wrestling, like television wrestling, to other things, and a lot of them found out. They were like, out of Texas, you have a lot of wrestling camps. People who want to WWF or any other ones, and they just flat out said, you find out during the first week that no one has to tell you to take it. You just won't be.
Exactly. You won't even make it through the tryouts. They'll look at you.
The trials. You just, because they say they'll have open workouts where 50 guys from all over the city will come, and by the end of the weekend, there's like 5 left, and guess what they all have in common?
It's funny how you said the recovery part too. It's like even though hypothetically you're an 18-year-old kid, you're able to throw that fastball, you're able to make that 40-yard dash, you're able to do everything you need to do within that first week. How are you going to recover when you do 2-a-days, when you do 3-a-days, when you have to grapple in the morning, striking in the afternoon, heavy lifting in the nighttime as well, over and over again? It is literally impossible to do that, even no matter how great your genetics are. And that's where people don't tie it. It's like, look at how amazing our UFC fighters are now. Look how amazing our Olympians are now. We do not evolve that quickly within our lifetime. There's no way You could break a record at running, at swimming, at lifting every single 4 years in the Olympics, but yeah, somehow they're natural because they're in the Kellogg's box. Hey, I'm natural, I'm eating my Wheaties. It doesn't work that way. But yeah, majority of the people think that's how it is because, you know, they were dedicated themselves. It doesn't work that way. There is a limit to the human body and you cannot evolve that quickly.
I have a friend from Jamaica. We were discussing all the Olympics, and that came up of who gets popped and not. And he was like, "Oh yeah, everybody's on except Usain Bolt." He wanted to fight us because we looked at him and said, "You're willing to admit that all the other athletes are on something,
right?
But after you're
here's the best part I get. That's where I can relate to that. So you're telling me that Usain Bolt is somehow free and clear, but the guy who only came in 2 seconds behind him, not even 2 millimeters per second behind him, he's on it, but yet the first guy didn't. Same argument with Lance Armstrong. You're telling me somehow he wins, but he's on gear and steroids and EPO, but the guy and everybody who's literally only a millisecond behind him, somehow they're all clean. It does not work that way.
You watched Icarus, that documentary?
Yeah.
They showed you that all the people on Lance Armstrong.
Of course.
Lance Armstrong never got popped. They got him in court because they got his teammates to testify.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Doctor.
Yeah.
And it's scary that we live in a world of dishonesty because I found out that when I'm just like, oh yeah, I do this. And here's the thing: you and I are men who work for ourselves. So if he doesn't like me or doesn't want to do business with me, I work for myself, so it's okay. I know guys that like they hide it. Like I have one friend that we had to have a real conversation because I said, you can't hide this from your wife.
No, you can't. Nope. They'll see it right there.
Hide this from her because, you know, she's gonna notice a few changes in life. And two, what if something goes wrong? What if you just need her help one day? What if, you know, it's just crazy. It's crazy. And he really thought that she would think less of him. And she was skeptical for about 2 weeks. Then she was like, give me the needle, I'll do it for you. She was reaping in the bedroom from his testosterone, backing up again. She was trying to put it in his cereal. He was like, no, I can't take it that way.
Here's the thing I understand about people, though. I mean, the whole thing being against it because they've been fed this lie their entire life. Now, when you speak to a group of people about gear, of course, you're going to get bombarded with it's bad, it's dangerous, all this bad stuff's going to happen to you. But yet, when you speak to a person one-on-one, because anybody who comes across me in person, okay, they already know. They're just asking me a question to be reassured and just to find out even more. I'm actually honest with them in person because in a one-on-one setting, a person is a lot more reasonable. They're willing to talk it out. They're even willing to be educated by it. But if you talk to anybody, say, out in a forum online or just a big group of people, you are absolutely going to get staked and burned by the crowd because that's just that. It's just they're going to live off of what they've been known. And the thing about arguments or debates or even politics, for example, people just refuse, especially in an open field like that, they refuse to admit they're wrong because that's a lot of people that's going to judge them as well. Nobody's going to admit they're wrong, that they've been living this knowledge of a lie this whole entire time, thinking that you could get on that Wheatie box or that Kellogg's box as long as you try your hardest, but not do anabolic steroids. So, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm trying to get everybody at when it comes to the knowledge part, so that I don't want some 16, 17-year-old kid who's trying to make Division I football or basketball, and by the time they make it to the tryouts, they are destroyed by every other guy in that field. I want them to have the same exact chances as those guys who are taking the anabolic gear and so if they do want to pursue that dream, they know exactly what to take. So by the time you're that of age, you got to take your test. You got to take your Tren. You got to take your Anadrol. You got to take your Deca.
Yeah, and now is as good a time as any to tell you my little surprise. I have a bad influence. One of the guys at the gym, he convinced me. He said, you should try increasing your. I was like, no, that's what people do. I'm not a bad person. My doctor said this is what I'm taking. And, all the research was like, your face is not going to explode. So I called all my friends who've ever done anything with it and said, we Skype, I got to call you. There's something important. And I realized that I might be overreacting when I was getting responses like, you made me close my office door and talk to you because you're going to take 500 a week instead of the 200. I got cussed out so hard by so many of my people, like, you realize, like, barely even counts, right? I was like, no, doing what their doctor tells them. So I tried a 12-week, adventure, and I was telling my friends on Facebook about it. Because again, particular, I think that you and I may be dangerous friends to have, because when you're free, you don't worry what people think. When you earn your own money, you don't have to worry about opinion.
You're an independent outcome. You don't have society judging you, so you're able to do and act as you will. So when it comes to me telling the information, I never strong arm anybody into doing it. If they ask me for whatever, I try not to entice them. I try to give them an unbiased view of gear. Now, if they feel like, okay, they have enough education, they are persuaded because of the truth about gear, how safe it is, how it can be safe, the simple protocols behind it, how you can easily homebrew as well, then I teach them. I never say, hey, you should do this, you need to do this. It's more like, here's the information that you want. I would never try to entice you with it. If you want to take that path, I will be here, hold your hand, and guide you along the way to make sure that it's safe. You don't do any harm. You don't get any type of infection. You don't get any gyno. And even if you do have gyno, I'll be here as well to correct all your past mistakes as well.
Yeah. I will tell you, after the second or third, because in the beginning, I didn't feel anything. And then I remember after 2 or 3 days after the second or third injection, because I split it into 250, 250.
Yeah. And
this doesn't feel weird. And then one day I was with a client at an afternoon meeting, and suddenly my metabolism, someone unleashed the gates of hell. And I realized I need to eat right now. And shortly after, I started noticing in the gym, what I did is, because I don't want to get too much bigger. I don't know if you can see this, but these stretch marks, when I was a young man, I was a big dude. At 41, I'm okay with, weighing less than 200 if I can ever get there. Right now I'm at 213. So I didn't increase my weights. I just increased the reps and kept adding reps and adding reps. And I noticed, this really is interesting. And that's what terrified me. I have to do these giant cycles of things. And I'm like, if I feel this much of a difference on this minuscule amount, I'm thinking that must be insane to be on all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
what my experience was feeling it, that feeling that you got when it kicked in, it was really weird. It's interesting. Like when this stuff kicks in, right? Like say just to start, for example, it'll force your body to do what it needs to do to either make the gains, repair the muscle tissue. Like you, for example, your body's like, okay, I have all this testosterone now. I need to eat. I am starving in order for me to repair all the muscle tissue that I just destroyed, either from rolling, either from lifting, whatever it may be. My thing was I needed to recover and I needed to sleep. I was sitting at a grocery store. I'm about to go buy my groceries, right? The next thing I knew, I parked there at 1 o'clock. I closed my eyes just for 2 seconds. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My body was telling me that I need to sleep right now. My car was on the entire time. I looked at the time, oh my God, I've been sleeping here for 3 hours. So that's the beauty about that gear too. Once that thing kicks in, the strength is there. Your metabolism is there. The resting period is there as well. The soreness is completely gone. It's like the fountain of youth when it comes to all this stuff. So that's my experience, that when it kicked in, oh man.
Tell me your opinion on this though. From all my reading and all my friends, you can either do a lot for a short period of time, or you can do a little all the way until you're old.
In terms of that, the best way I could put it is here's the thing where I got a lot of toxicity out of some of the comments or people's experiences with it. There's more than one pathway to success. One is not wrong. Just because that's your experience doesn't mean everything else is wrong. So can you do a little at a time for the rest of your life? Of course you can. Is that safe? Absolutely. Could you also blast as big as you can while taking off time in between? That's also correct. And that's one of those things that I try to explain to people who are somewhat a little bit negative, a little bit toxic when they speak to me. It's like, listen, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying this is my experience and this is how you should do it because this is my experience and this is how I'm teaching it. But that doesn't mean that person is wrong at all. But for some reason, they feel like they're attacked. So in your point of view, they're both correct. You can do TRT doses, doing it one little at a time. And if you want to get your natural testosterone back, you just take HCG from it. But then is there anything wrong with a person who's doing a gram of testosterone every week?
No, imagine that.
Yeah, there's some guys that do that, but they're just as safe as long as they get off of it as well. When they get off of it and they do the proper post-cycle therapy as well, there's nothing wrong with that either. Both will probably yield around the same exact results. One is a little bit more efficient when it comes to putting it as part of your lifestyle, because you're just taking a little bit of injections on every other day or at least every week, to where the other one, they have to look out for more signs of gyno, bloatedness, stuff like that. So there is no wrong way of doing it, as long as you know the proper protocols for the small dosages and the proper protocols for the big dosages. Nobody is wrong. That's pretty much the thing that I'm trying to get at here too. It's like
a week seems like my head would explode. I feel like I would run through a wall.
It's like you're trying to look like that really big bison or that really big bull. That's pretty much the goal for some of these guys, which is fine. There's a protocol for that. But again, there's no negative way about it. Just be positive. Don't be toxic at all, and I'll help you out when it comes to that. There's no wrong way of doing it. There's no wrong way of doing it. So there's more than one way to churn an ice cream, brother. More than one way to churn an ice cream.
Back to the ice cream. How dare you, sir?
You know what I'm getting after this.
Scripted an hour to ask you those important questions, but I wanted to open it up. Is there anything you really wanted to get out there? Because like I said, I really like your approach to things. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that you just give the information freely and the business comes to you, which is something some of the young men I mentor, I have to get that across to them. Be of quality and people will come. You don't have to do any. People ask me all the time, how do I do clever SEO and how do I get as many people calling me for business referrals and things like that as they do you? I just do good work for the people that I do good work with. When a company contracts me, I do such good work, they tell their friends and I tell them, who can you refer me to? And it's not a problem. And they go, well, what about SEO tricks and things like this? This guy wants me to pay him $1,000 a month and he'll get me 10 million Twitter followers. You don't need 10 million. You only need 10. But if all 10 of those people are men who want to do business with you, you win.
My best learning experience of all this is pretty funny. It's actually women that taught me in the finer things of business. It's pretty much that you have to be of value if people, you want to be around you. Same exact thing with women. You can't be toxic with them. You can't be demanding with them. If you're a fun, amazing, better, good-looking guy because you take care of yourself, they're going to be around you. Same thing with this demographic here or any type of business. If you are going to be of value, people will come. Why? Because you're out there giving value. You're pleasant to be with. You're pleasant to be amazing with. You are also good at educating them as well. So, of course, they are going to come. I mean, my biggest learning curve with that, honestly, is women. In order for me to be able to have that independent of not waiting for that one girl Friday night for her to flake on me, I needed a whole lot of them to be around my life. And how do I get all those women to be around my life? To be of value, to be a pleasant guy, to be a guy who they want to be with. And same thing with these guys. I want to give as much value as I can to them. Not only that, for the guys who actually want to be a part of the program. Because hypothetically, there's some guys who, they don't want to be a part of the program or they can't afford to or anything like that. I want them to be able to get enough education to where when they finally do, they know the safety protocols of it and how to do it properly. So I feel like I'm giving back to the society anyway, because I just want to be of value myself as well.
Wow. So who should I talk to? One of the questions that I always ask people is, who else should I talk to? Who's somebody interesting in this industry or any other that you say, that guy would make a great podcast with?
Honestly, if you could get in the hands of these guys, there's 3 things I owe to my life, okay? Number 1 is gear, obviously. Okay, number 1 is gear. My other one part of it is my education, because going through school, me being Asian, being good at the school system as well, and then going to college.
Asian is a big word. I've lived all over Asia. Which brand of Asian are you?
Which type of fried rice are you?
Well, people, I had a friend of mine, we went to a sushi restaurant, and they looked at how fluent I was with my chopsticks. And I stepped back and I realized I've probably spent 6 years of my life in Asian cultures. A couple of years in Japan, Tokyo, a couple of years in Shanghai, Malaysia, Singapore, all those places.
What do you call it? So here's my background. My short-term background. I was born in Hawaii, grew up in the Philippines till I was 8, and then the stereotypical trip to wherever we're from, we all have to live in San Francisco just for a short period of time. And then you've seen it before. You've been to California. When you go into an In-N-Out burger, you either have the white people on this side, and then you have all the Asians on this side. So that's pretty much it. That was my trip. So, what's that?
Which island?
In the Philippines?
Yeah, where were you born? Yeah, which island?
Cebu. It's the...
I know.
There's 2 different types of languages. You have Visaya, which is what I speak in, and the main dialect, which is Tagalog. Now, where I'm from is more the southeastern islands, to where it's not so, the main language, the main places to visit to. So,
you are the biggest Filipino I have ever seen.
Yeah. Dude, I grew up with pineapples. I grew up with rice. I grew up with that culture. So,
and where in Hawaii did you live?
Where I was born, Honolulu, main island.
Okay, I used to live in Hilo.
Oh, nice, dude, nice. I have family over there as well, but I'm more connected to the Philippines. I was literally only there till I was 2, and then from 2 until 8, I grew up in the Philippines. So,
wow,
yeah.
I have friends who live in the Philippines now, who are like me, guys who decided to open up their own business and realize I could work in the United States and make a ton of money, but make 50 hours a week, or open my own business and live in a place where the expenses are so low. We had a conversation another day, where the expenses are so low, it doesn't really matter that way anymore. I suspect the same thing, because your business model, it's prime. You could be calling me from a bunker in Cebu right now, and I wouldn't know it, because the way your business model is set up, you can be anywhere, just like mine, as an editor and a copy editor and a proofreader.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. That's the beauty about it, like not being dependent on clocking in for work and then, begging for a 5-minute break or going to lunch. I mean, I did all that. Being a teacher back then when I was young, that's one of the drawbacks, like having to be in this regimented state of work. And at the same time, because I was teaching at such a young age, I started teaching high school, at least, doing my internship at 22 years old. Nobody takes you seriously at that young of an age. And that's what really drew me back, because I was trying to be successful, but I was being successful in such a fast rate. Nobody would take you seriously when you're that of a young age. So now I'm in this state to where I'm able to control my destiny, what I want to put out there, how I want to educate as well. And that was a problem with the education system as well. The type of curriculum that they wanted me to teach was just not the way I think these kids are meant to be taught. They're able to learn a lot better from my experiences, not the way they want it to be so regimented. So I'm pretty much taking my strong points and combining it with my hobby and giving it my best and putting it out there while shining the light at the same time. So yeah, I do love the independency that you and I have when it comes to what we're trying to do.
Wow.
So
give me a name. Give me somebody I should say, hey.
Oh, if you somehow, so the third people that really changed my life. So you have gear, my education, and the third one is this company called RSD. It's called Real Social Dynamics, where these guys literally teach you how to pick up women. And it may sound simple, but yet not a lot of guys how to just literally approach a girl and show them their right interest and be direct about it. And when I went to these seminars, they blew my mind, because look what you're dependent at, right? You want to be independent with your education, right? You want to be able to learn everything you learn so you could do whatever work you want to do. And then when it comes to your finances, you want to be able to make as much money as you can so you could be, independent as well with that. But then when it comes to your emotions, your need as a guy, you want to be dependent on innocent little Jenny, again, to be your Friday night so she could flake on you. So you're telling me you're working your ass off financially, you're working your ass off academically, but yet your social life is just completely being abandoned, thinking that that's going to happen naturally. And that's what I loved about this system, is the fact that these guys were able to tell me I could be independent from outcome. I could be one of those guys to where I don't have to depend on some girl for my happiness. I could depend on 10 girls for my happiness, and not just one girl to flake on me on a Friday night.
Well, and you know what? I thought we were about to wrap up, but you just opened a whole new line of discussion, because as someone who, I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of mentorship, and that's one of those names that keeps coming back. Now, at my age, I remember the very beginning of the pickup artist stuff on MTV.
Yes,
and I read a lot of the things they talk about made sense, but it's very interesting because I have kept running into people. I wrote an article about the Manosphere and how I feel like it's a 50-50 equation, and I'll post a link to it with some other things under this video, but
yeah,
it's one of those things where you only get one of two extremes. You get guys like us who talk about eating right, lifting weights, having fun with girls, and then you get the other half who are just, woe is me, I hate women, how come they're so dumb, they're not smart enough to pick me, and it's scary. It's really scary, because I've met some men who were very damaged, but at the other hand, the people who run that company, I suppose we're all human, but I've seen on the one hand, these guys give speeches about behavior and approaching life, and then things that are genuinely garbage person behavior on camera.
Yeah, that's true. You have to pick the good and the bad. It's like reading a book, for example. Like take for example the 48 Laws of Power. Right? Not every law is going to be, attainable for you. Not every law you're going to be able to relate to. So you want to take the good things out of that as well. And you're absolutely right. When it comes to the pick artist community, some stuff of it is very manipulative. Some of the stuff will absolutely destroy a girl or a group of girls. But what you can do as a person is, with enough knowledge and education, you can take some of the good stuff that comes with it, as in giving back value to society, being of value on your own, how to completely destroy your egos. You can actually start approaching women in the first place. And at the same time, not be dependent on one girl for your happiness as well. Now, what I've taken from that as well, I'm thinking, wait a minute. This is exactly like how I could approach business as well. So let me take everything I knew from these guys and apply it to business as well. So some of the stuff there is a little bit questionable, but at the same time, it is scumbag at the same time. At the same time, the other half of it is really good value. Like approaching a person, like take for example this. It's so hard for a few people, in fact, the majority of people, to just go out there and have an open, real conversation with a complete stranger, let alone a girl. If you could open up a complete, brand new, stranger girl that on the street, you could talk to anybody. You can network with anybody in a real detailed manner as well. So that's what I got from these guys, being able to just...
What I found interesting, and I've looked at some of their work on YouTube, what's really interesting, what got me is, I came up as a salesman in the best sense of the word. The products that I offered in the financial industry were some of the best in the industry, and I had no problem with that, but I had to learn how to talk to people in a way that showed them the value in what I did, so that a year later, when their finances were different, they would say, oh, thank you. This is something that I don't know how many people have discussed. Almost all of the exact same principles that we learned through reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, that's the first book I give someone who comes to me for mentorship. I say, there are a lot of books we're going to read together. This is the first. They're the exact same principles they're teaching guys about talking to women. They're the skills, how to present yourself. And it's interesting because when you think about it, you are selling. Now, I could be selling a financial product to a client or I could be selling the concept of let's go to dinner and have coffee and donuts on Friday night together. Not donuts.
It's the exact thing. Now, the best way out of that too is, look, how long does it take to do a business proposal, let alone build a business in the first place? You're not going to have a lot in your lifetime. So by the time you were trying to get good, it'll take you forever. Now, you could take the exact same concept of winning people over with women. You meet them every single day. How many times have you gone to the grocery store thinking, man, I would love to talk to that girl, but yet you're not so accustomed to it that you don't do that? How many times have you seen a business person you want to network with, but you're intimidated because of how rich and powerful he is? Now, if you can get all that fear completely gone by going through as many women as possible in terms of learning experiences and giving the value as well, the next time you see some big, intimidating, powerful, rich person that you want to network with, you're not going to be as intimidating because you're taking the same exact principles with these women, and you could apply that to these guys as well. That's the reason why, one of the biggest one, that's the reason why I'm able to vlog out in public in the middle of a sea of people behind me and not care. And it's not even that I don't care, it's that I acknowledge them, but again, I don't have any fear from it. Why? Because I've got drinks thrown at my face. I've got women telling me no. I've gotten embarrassed at the club. I've gotten all this bad stuff to happen. So if I'm not intimidated by that anymore, talking to a camera in front of a sea of people or talking to a crowd or giving speeches, that is nothing compared to some girl throwing a drink at my face. So,
grandmother who taught me public speaking. My mother taught me advanced reading very young. My father gave me books to read very young, and my grandmother taught me public speaking. But I remember one of the first times in the financial business, one of my mentors when I was a young man, there was this very, very wealthy client that I had on what he used to call your chicken list. And he says, not all the people who you have contacts with and have friends with, but you're kind of scared to call because they're important. And so I wrote up, okay, good. Next week you're going to come into my office and I'm going to watch you call that meeting. And it's like, one of the things that I remember someone said to me, he says, I watched one of your practices. One of your friends choked you unconscious and you were doing the chicken. And then after you got done spasming, you got up and fought him again. You weren't scared. I said, well, no, of course not. I mean, I've taken worse beatings and I've delivered some beatings. He said, so how could you be afraid to call this guy? And the worst he's going to say to you is, I'm too busy.
Exactly.
You have to really like, wow. That's
It puts it into perspective, doesn't it? It puts it into good perspective. So,
but yeah, that's interesting that you credit them with. Now, did you develop relationships with the teachers personally, or were you just a member of one of their organizational?
A little bit of both. I try to be as much in as I can because I started at such a young age. I started doing the whole pickup thing when I was about 19, 20 years old. So there's no way I'd be able to afford the program, but I went to a lot of their free seminars. I went to a lot of group meetings as well. I did meet these guys, but not long enough to actually meet them, but I owe a lot to them. And one of the things that I did get to in terms of relating to your public speaking thing, one of the techniques I started applying to myself was just recording myself. I would have my phone in my pocket attached to my earbuds that has a microphone in it, and I would record myself talking to women. What does that differentiate with public speaking? Nothing. Being able to do that and hearing yourself, how many times you're going to say how many times are you going to stutter, how many times are you going to repeat yourself over and over again. So with enough data on myself, listening to myself, oh my God, that's what I sound like? Let me stop saying and all this stuff.
You're blowing my mind here. You're blowing my mind because that same technique, when you go into the financial business, if you have good mentors, they just do the same thing.
Yeah, record yourself. Yeah.
You only got 6 months to really prove yourself in that business. They said, on your lunch every day, I want you to spend at least 15 minutes saying, if you called me, and here's what we're going to say when you call, how you introduce yourself, I want you to listen to yourself. Do you say, you sound confident, and get to the point where you can hear your own voice and not cringe, so that now all these people, and it's interesting, they use the exact same technique. That's
it also comes with the mannerism as well, on how you tone the specific statements that you're trying to get. If you're gonna come in there and be needy and ask the girl for her number, she's gonna be 90% saying no. But if you're going there confidence and demanding in a charming way, she's going to want to be with you and give you her number. So I'm thinking, let me take the exact same approach to people in the professional business. Let me not be enclosed. Let me actually bring out my chest, speak to them properly, speak to them with as much confidence as they can, so they could actually take me seriously as well. And that also ties within your image, which one of the things that I experienced as well. Like before, again, I was 135 pounds. That's where my people are supposed to be.
Wait, I thought that was like a hyperbole. You really?
I was 135 pounds. I'm now 210 pounds. And oh my God, people take me more seriously until I open my mouth. Okay, now that my fitness pillar has been erected and good, let me now speak with a little bit more social savviness and learn how to do it that way as well. Because I don't have to work on my fitness pillar anymore. I can concentrate on my social savviness. I can concentrate on my public speaking. I can concentrate on my social aspect as well. So that's the beauty about having gear do all the work for you. Now that that's done with your fitness pillar.
This is where you get me when you say things like the gear do all my work for me. Again, I'm an old school meathead. I'm used to that whole, you got to be in there, you got to bleed, I've had workouts, especially in things like Jiu-Jitsu in Vegas in the summer. We go out and vomit if you didn't bleed for it. And that's like you mess up my whole mindset.
Right.
I feel emotional, and I'm very famous for saying to young men that a man has no business dealing in emotions. So I recognize that I'm having an emotional response to you telling me let the work. I feel like that's somehow taking. How am I looking at this?
like how it's like, for example, it's like, imagine going into your first grappling match or jiu-jitsu match and everything comes easy. Why? Because you're not trying to win that particular match. You're trying to get into the bigger division. You want that to be as the easiest match as possible, so you could go and take the big shot. Let's say, for example, majority of UFC fighters, they're not really looking to get their face pounded in. They're just trying to get their fame and their money. So however they get those two as quickly as they can, they're going to want to try to do that the easiest way and as quickly as possible. So same thing with my concept of lifting. We're not trying to stay at the gym, right? We're not trying to stay there and get no result and bleed for no reason. We're just trying to get our physics and our physique done so you can concentrate on other aspects. I mean, at the core of lifting, what are we really trying to do? We're just trying to get our health, and we're trying to look good so we can get validated by society. Same thing with rolling and jiu-jitsu as well. Why are we trying to work our asses off as hard as we can? So we could prove, not to the other people, no, to prove to ourselves that I know how to roll. I know how to get off from under your guard. I know how to double leg you. I know how to ankle pick you. I know how to do whatever submission I want to be able to do to you as well. That's the whole point of that. It's not to prove to anybody else, but to ourselves as well when it comes to grappling and jiu-jitsu. So that's what I'm trying to take to these guys. Don't be a slave at the gym so you could actually concentrate on the bigger meanings of life, which is having fun, being with your family, being with your friends, meeting new people, meeting new girls, and just being of value of society. Not your typical, you know, guy at the gym who's a dirtbag, as you said. So it's more, much bigger than that.
You're getting into the philosophy zone here, and, you know, we start having those philosophical conversations. Let's wrap up.
Yeah, and
we have to do this again. We got to do this again.
Absolutely, absolutely, dude. Thank you so much for inviting me, man. I had such a good time with these kind of things. I'm attuned to these type of conversations. I love this because here's the thing. I can't have this conversation with the girl. What am I supposed to talk about the girl with? What, sushi and going to Whole Foods? What am I supposed to do that with? So when I'm able to take these conversations with you to a higher level, to a higher degree, these type of conversations are so rare. I am always going to treasure this. This has made my month. I will talk about this next week, the month after that, until we have another conversation like this. Because again, what other outlet do we have? That's the thing I love about YouTube. I'm able to speak my mind and teach these guys. And same thing with my interaction with you. I can't talk about this with anybody else. So I'm always going to treasure this moment with you, man. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here and being part of, you know, what you have here, which is an amazing podcast of what you have. So.
Brother, I appreciate it. I'll be looking forward to talking to you again soon. Open invitation down to Brazil. Beautiful. When you finally release a little bit of a vacation. You're going to come. We're gonna hit the gym together. You can critique my workouts.
That sounds awesome. But we could roll, dude. Show me how you guys do it.
We'll go to the gym, man. They're like, who are those guys? All right, brother. You have a good night.
Take care, man. Thank you.